Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. I'm doing a series of spotlights on remarkable business intermediaries and brokers from across the country. And joining me on this segment from Houston, Texas is Jason Ward. He's the founder of Truview Business Advisors. Jason, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Jason, tell us a little bit about your work and specifically, who are the types of clients that you specialize in helping?
Yeah, so Truview Business Advisors, we're a boutique business brokerage firm in Houston, Texas. We specialize in helping people buy and sell privately held businesses. And those businesses can range from Main Street mom and pop businesses to lower middle market businesses. So we deal a lot of individual buyers, first-time business owners looking to leave the corporate world and own their own business. And then we also deal with other business owners looking to expand their businesses or private equity group and family offices looking to purchase businesses as well.
And as we've heard, the Great Resignation's been in the news for a number of months now. How has that affected your industry? Have you seen an uptick in selling and buying, or both? What's it been like?
Yeah, we've definitely seen a large increase in buyers who's looking to take control in their own hands. I think the pandemic over the last couple of years has really led buyers or people in general to want to choose their destiny more. So we've got a lot of inquiries. I've placed several businesses with people in various roles in corporate owning small businesses.
Has that motivated people that have been considering selling for a long time now that they realize it sounds like a seller's market?
Yeah, the Great Resignation, interestingly, it affects both the buyers and the sellers because, like you said, it has motivated sellers. It's kind of an all-time high of buyers in the marketplace, and sellers are seeing the opportunity with good multiples and high demand, so that they are coming to the market. And then we're also seeing sellers just looking to do something else. They've been through various crises, the financial crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic, and they're wanting to get out while they can. So we've seen an uptick in sellers wanting to sell and do something else as well.
Have you noticed, it seems almost counterintuitive, is it actually a good time to get into a business now? Are there really opportunities out there and industries that are doing well?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's rare that it's a good time to sell and a good time to buy. This is one of those few times where it makes sense both from a seller and a buyer. From the seller standpoint, multiples are high, lots of buyers out there. Cost of capital is low, which is good from a buyer standpoint as well. There's financing in place. Interest rates are still low, even though inflation is coming. It is a good time from a buyer standpoint to lock in a business with a low down payment, good interest rates. And then there are businesses doing better than before, and there's some doing worse, and some kind of doing about the same. So you really want to, if you're looking to buy a business, you want to see how the business is done historically and where you see it going in the future.
What's interesting is in your type of field, for whether you're a seller or a buyer, a lot of times you're probably meeting people that it's the first time they're buying or selling a business because they might have been in a business for a long time. From the seller's perspective, what are some of the first questions people have? What are the most frequently asked questions if they haven't ever sold a business before?
Well, the number one question they're going to ask is, what is my business worth? So we help them through that process with a business valuation. Other common questions is how long will the business take to sell? Historically, it takes about 6 to 9 months to sell a business, but there's a lot of variability. So we'll walk through the process with them. And then probably the third most common question is, who would be the buyer? And that's where we really drill into the business type, because each business could have several different types of buyers, and we want to market the business to the best fit to help the seller with the most profitable and timely exit.
To your point about what's my business worth, I know that there's a lot of factors involved and it's probably a really big question, but could you give us maybe like a ballpark of what some of the terms are and what it means? I've heard of EBITDA and like how do you kind of ballpark what you think a business is worth? And does it vary depending on the type of business?
Yeah, it's a great question, and like you said, that could be a whole topic on its own. But briefly, a couple terms. EBITDA is for larger businesses. So usually when cash flow is above $1 million, they'll trade on multiples of that. Small businesses will trade on a term. It has various names, but the most common term is seller's discretionary earnings. And that is basically the cash flow that the business owner would get from the business. So we know owning a business, there's all sorts of benefits, tax deductions and benefits you can get. So if you look at business owners' tax return, it doesn't show the true economic value of the business. So we'll go through a process of normalizing that to get the seller's discretionary earning, and then apply a multiple to that. We look at 12 different factors. Now, just ballpark, a small business is going to go for about 2 to 3 times seller's discretionary earnings, but there is a lot of variability in calculating that.
I appreciate that high level view. From the buyer's perspective now, people leaving the Dilbert corporate cube, if you will, wanting to buy a business. When people approach you, do they already have something in mind, like a type of business they want to get into? Or what's the big question they're asking you?
Yeah, so buyers will normally approach you. Normally, there'll be a business we have listed, so they'll approach us for that. And we go through an interview process to really match up what the buyer's looking for to make sure it's the right fit. Because 9 out of 10 times, the business they inquired you about it isn't really the best business for them. So we'll listen to their skill sets and then what they're trying to get out of life. For example, someone says, "Well, I want a 40-hour work week. I'm sick of overtime at work," and they inquire about a restaurant. We tell them, "Well, that's probably not the best business for you. It's nights and weekends if you're going to be owner operator." So we'll steer them towards businesses that meet their goals and skill sets.
Yeah, restaurant, that's like you could work half day, 12 hours, right?
Yeah.
So, Jason, what inspired you to get into this field and be a matchmaker for business owners and sellers? How did you get started?
Yeah, so my background, I'm a CPA. I always loved the mergers and acquisition side of the business. I worked for public accounting and then in the industry as controller and CFO of some small companies. Loved the mergers and acquisition process. And at one point, I wanted to own a business myself. I had the great resignation, did the corporate life for a while, wanted to do something else, and I was searching for businesses, and through that process, that I found my calling. I love helping business owners and people, and really bringing that expertise to help the seller owners or help the sellers find a buyer for their business, and then really a buyer who's going to succeed and do well at the business. It's important that you match both ways, because if buyers aren't successful, then that's going to hurt the market. So we always take great care to make sure whoever buys the business is gonna be successful. No guarantees, but we try to match them up with businesses we think they'll do well with.
Well, you're really a double whammy there because obviously the numbers are hugely important. So they don't have to go very far to dig into their numbers with your CPA background and the valuations and stuff like that. Before I ask you my last question, Jason, if somebody's considering selling today or even looking for a business today, if they're a buyer, what's the most important thing they should consider when choosing a business intermediary to work with?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you want an intermediary or a business broker who's really specialized in the field. It's a unregulated industry in a lot of states. So anyone can say they're a business broker or intermediary. You want to look for certifications and associations with business broker associations, either at the state or international level. Certified business intermediary with the IBBA is kind of the gold standard for intermediaries. So I would recommend making sure you're working with someone certified and is getting the education. And then the second thing I would say is talk to them. This is going to be a short-term relationship with them. So you want to make sure that you feel comfortable with them and are able to take advice, because you're hiring a professional, so you want to make sure you can trust them and follow what their guidelines are.
For folks listening who would love to reach out with you to you and speak with you about selling a business, um, how can they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
Yeah. So my website is truviewbusiness.com. That's TRUVIEW business.com. And then you can email at Jason at truviewbusiness.com, or you can call me at 713-714-7516.
Jason, this has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
That was Jason Ward. He's the founder of Truview Business Advisors out of Houston, Texas. And this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.